Junior, obviously, more than a week and a half into camp. How's it been for your group so far?
Like you said, after a week and a half of camp, we've been having a ball. We're having a lot of fun out there. There's a lot of good energy in the meeting room. Guys are learning, picking up concepts, taking it on the field, and just playing football, making plays. We're not where we want to be yet, but we're making strides.
Do you think you're starting to get maybe some answers about some of those guys that you got a lot of guys who haven't played a ton of football, but some guys who are, you're going to be stepping into much bigger roles this year? Is that starting to shake out a bit?
Yeah, you got the guys like you mentioned, like AK, Achilles Butler, Austin Cottrell, Sean Monster, AJ Richardson. They have all made some plays here in camp. And I think it's the older guys, with Chaz and Thomas. And you even throw Shed into that mix. They're all competing, and and they're enjoying the fact of competing. And again, we're just having a good time out there in camp.
With Shed, is he the starter now? We saw him at number 1 on the depth chart. I know you kind of wanted to slow the kind of talk with him, but is he the starter there?
Yeah, he's starting right now at that position. But you know how this system is. We play 6 or 7 guys a game, so everybody's pretty much interchangeable.
Were you expecting him to come in? I know when you get a JUCO guy, you expect him to come in and be a impact guy, but were you expecting him to be a guy that right away would be in your starting lineup?
We would hope that he would be, and that's why we went and signed Cedric Wilson. When we saw his film, we had a good relationship with him, and we expected him to come in and contribute and be an impact to this offense.
It seems like there's a lot of depth mentioning some of those guys that have played a little bit. Do you think you might have to use Julian or Bubba or any of those guys, or is that to be determined?
It's still to be determined. We still have a week and a half left of camp. You never know how things can shake out within that time frame.
We're going to talk to AJ here in a little bit. What's he done this camp?
AJ's been solid, doing his role, starting his role. AJ, catches the ball well, and he knows our system. And one thing about AJ, he adds value because he can play, all 3 or 4 receiver spots on the field.
How do those guys kind of separate themselves? You got 4 or 5 guys there. They're kind of in the same mix with Monster and Butler and those guys. What can they do to try to move ahead of the others?
Just make plays, right? And know the system, inside out. I think most importantly, you got to be able to line up correctly. You got to know what we're trying to accomplish on each and every snap. And then when your number's called, make plays.
AJ's built like a running back. How much of a...
Yeah, we give him a hard time about that,
too. How can that be a positive? And I guess also at the same time, does he have to overcome some things to...
No, everybody, AJ is a big physical wide receiver, and he's got good hands. He's good in the run game. He runs crisp routes, and he understands what we're trying to do again offensively.
With a lot of those guys that maybe see 2 seniors starting, and obviously said maybe they don't see an opportunity for a ton of playing time, do you say, hey, those 2 guys are seniors, obviously you're going to be needed at some point here? How do you look at that younger group and trying to keep them motivated moving forward?
And I'm going to tell you what I tell them once you go try to take their spot. We want to compete in that room. And those guys, that second tier guys, we expect them to push the first tier. Those guys that are starters right now. And again, that's this competition.
How much has AJ grown in his time in the program from what you've seen so far this camp?
I think AJ's grown a lot in the last 3 years. When he first got here, we used to be on him a lot about urgency and playing fast. And he's taken to that and has improved in that area.
Well, what's it about Achilles that made you guys want to play him as a true freshman, and what's the next step for him?
The next step for Achilles was, to really get this system under his belt. Playing him as a young age, as a true freshman, we saw that he has a skill set to play. He made plays for us last year in camp. And as you guys know, last year he did play some snaps for us as a punt returner and at wide receiver. I think he had a touchdown against Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. You've been working with the returners, right? Was that punt returners or receive?
Yeah, I work with the kick returners.
Oh, kick returners. Yeah. What have you seen from that guy group, and who are a couple of the guys? Obviously McNichols, but who are some other guys there?
There's a good group of guys back there. You got Jeremy McNichols. You have Cedric Wilson. You have Moxie. Chaz has been back there. We got a good group of guys back there, and they all, that's a special position. Those guys are taken to that.
How's Sean coming along, and where have you seen him kind of grow most since spring?
Sean has matured a lot. To me, we've seen Sean take off in that spring game. He had those 2 touchdowns, and ever since then he's been playing pretty consistent for us and making plays every day.
What's when we talk about separation, from that in that second group? Has anybody really kind of caught your eye so far?
They all have. They all have. They all play good football. They all made plays. They're all done what we asked them to do. And again, like I said, they all come in every day, upbeat, having fun, open ears, open heart, ready to learn.
Well, where's Austin? Because we heard a lot about him last year coming in, and then he didn't get that much action in the games. The size, there's a lot to like there. Where is he in the pecking order?
Austin he's in that group of guys as well. Austin's a big physical kid that can run, and in our last scrimmage, he went up and made a good play on the goal line, and he's made plays in practice.
What do you think that your group needs to do better this year that maybe they didn't do as well last year?
Consistent. We want to be consistent. We want to be one play away from changing the game.
Of all the things Thomas does so well, what's the biggest thing that impresses you most about his game?
The biggest thing with Thomas, he's got a high football IQ. He's very, very smart. He understands the little things. He can play. He plays fast. He from snap 1 to snap 79. I don't know. He's going to give you the same. He's going to come off the ball every time with speed. And he understands what the defense is trying to do.
Have you noticed this with no kind of quarterback battle? Everyone kind of knows Brett's the guy this year. Have you kind of noticed the speed of practice, the relationships with the receivers, the flow of the offense? Has it been any different kind of going into summer and fall, kind of knowing Brett's the guy this year?
I just think that those guys this summer, they spent a lot of time together, the quarterbacks and receivers. It's a tribute to Brett. Brett has taken a leap in the right direction as far as being a really good leader and taking charge of the offense. And I can see that he's trusting the wideouts. Even when guys are covered, he's trusting the guys to go up and make a play, and that's awesome.
I know you're the passing game coordinator. What Zach Hill's come in and some of the principles and things he's brought over there from Eastern Washington, what are some small things or things that you guys are implementing that's maybe going to be a little different, or things you guys are working on in the passing game?
Well, I can't tell you what we're going to do, but but no, it's awesome to have Zach Hill here. I've worked with him for 5 years at Eastern Washington. We had a great run in there, and we had a good working relationship, and we're really good friends outside this building. And him being a quarterback and some of the success that we had at Eastern Washington, he's able to bring some of those concepts over and implement them and throw them on the board and see if they stick. And so far, we're doing a pretty good job with concepts.
I think Coach Harsin was saying some of that maybe getting the ball out faster and some sort of quicker routes, that kind of thing. Is that something you guys?
Yeah, like some quick game stuff. Yeah, we're going to run our offense. That's one thing we're going to do, and we're going to attack the defense and be physical. And that's what we want to do on offense.